What's up guys, this is your boy Christopher Joe and today we'll be talking about the Steam Deck. First of all, Happy New Year. Haven't seen you guys since last year. I wanted to talk about how my Steam Deck has been holding up for the last almost 2 years. Not quite 2 years, but let's round it up to about 2 years. And what I'm not going to talk about like is it worth getting and all that. I want to talk about how it's been holding up like as far as the iOS, the battery, physically, and all that. So let's jump right into it. First, how is my Steam Deck holding up physically? Actually, it's not that bad. The only problem I might have is that my L1 button makes a weird clicking noise, like a spring in it. I can hear the spring in it actually when I press it. It's kind of weird. I tested it on my other buttons. I can kind of hear it on my R1 every so often, but I hear it on my L1 every time I press it. First I was a little worried, but then I mean it works, so really no complaints there. It's just odd. I actually noticed this just now. This is actually a scratch on my D-pad and I have no clue where that came from. Secondly, I'm not gonna lie, I've only dropped my Steam Deck once and it wasn't my fault. It was my daughter's fault. I blame her. She was climbing on top of me and it just straight hit the floor and I was like so worried, but it still worked. There was nothing wrong with it. That's been over like a month ago maybe. Still working perfectly fine. Even before that, my screen, like the bottom of my screen was kind of like protruding outward and I had no clue. I mean, literally no clue how that happened. I kind of just pressed it down every so often and then finally kind of like just stayed down. My screen still works, touch screen still works. It's just very random. I do have a skin on it, like the green skin that I, got from Amazon or whatnot. My daughter she glued stars on the back of my skin. Luckily it wasn't on top of my Steam Deck, but it looked actually pretty cool. They just started to wear off. But as far as like physically, like there's no scratches or anything like that. It actually looks like perfectly fine. I do need to change my skin though, my green skin, which I'm worried. I hope it doesn't leave like a lot of residue on it. Maybe I'll use alcohol to get like any remaining residue on it. But other than that, I'm pretty sure under the skin, it looks completely like brand new. Okay, so cosmetically, after 2 years, the Steam Deck is looking amazing. Just little nicks and crannies as far as the L1 and the R1 button, but everything still works perfectly fine. No stick drift or anything like that. Next, let's talk about the battery. Now, my battery is not like the best anymore. It's not that big of a difference to where it's actually a complaint though. Like to me, it's just normal. It happens with, iPhones, any, laptops, all that. So that kind of comes with the territory. So I don't want you to think I'm saying like the battery is just shot. It's definitely not shot. The kind of difference you would expect from a handheld after 2 years of playing with it. I think most of the battery drainage comes from downloading games. That's just me personally. I mean, I'm guessing because I don't really play like AAA games all the time. It's mostly like emulators or Chiaki, honestly, which doesn't really use that much battery power. I think it's just time, and I'm sure like downloading games, because I kind of have to keep the console on while it downloads, which I think is totally weird. And I know that I also have Decky Lure too, so I can actually blame some of my battery draining on that as well, because not only have I like customized like my thumbnails for games and changed the color of the OS and stuff like that, but also I've changed it to where some of my thumbnails move. They're like moving or animated like GIFs or whatever. These are just a little bit of them. Like most of them I put on there that they could work with, and I'm definitely sure that drains your battery like over time. I've had that on like probably about a month or whatever. So I could just blame the battery on that, but I don't want you to, like I said, I don't want you to think that I'm saying that the battery is shot. It's just not as good as it was 2 years ago. And as far as like the OS, the operating system, I haven't had really like crazy problems with it. I want to say the first problem I had, it was my fault. It was definitely my fault. I can be honest. I had way too many like stuff downloaded, ROMs, files, programs, Proton, and like I said, I had the 54 gig, and I made a mistake of using all my device space up without giving it like some breathing room, mostly on like random Protons that I didn't even use at the time, like experimental. I think I used for like Resident Evil 4 demo at the time. And other than that, like I got rid of the demo and I still didn't even use it. I just left it on there. So I'm still not actually good with like Protons. I only download them. Actually, I don't download them at all. I don't play around with that anymore because I have random ones just on my Steam Deck, just collecting space or whatever, or taking up space. So most of the Protons that I have, or the only ones I have, are being downloaded straight from the Steam Deck. Depends on which game that I download. Steam Deck will download that for you. It made my OS run extremely slow. So I just figured maybe I'll just wipe it clean. I did that and it ran perfectly fine. So that was definitely my fault. Second, I had one random problem with my OS. I was playing it one day and then my buttons were going haywire. Like I would press up and it would go sideways, press sideways, it would go down. I didn't want to, I swear I didn't want to wipe off my whole Steam Deck clean because after doing it before, I already know how tedious it can get because I have my Steam Deck perfect. I did that and it still had the same problem after I downloaded everything. Long story short, it was because the Dolphin emulator, it got updated and the update did not mesh well with the Steam Deck at the time. So I had to find a way to downgrade Dolphin if I still wanted to play it. Of course I did. It has Zelda on it. So that part of the Steam Deck, you know, that's comes with the territory, still very tedious. And the reason why I brought that up because laptops, phones, they all tend to run very slow after time. But when it comes to the Steam Deck, not a problem. As far as my usage of it, I definitely still use my Steam Deck more than my PlayStation 5, more than my Switch Lite. What can I say? I mean, it has Chiaki on it, it has the emulators. Some of these games on PlayStation 5 are just, there's only like so many games that I want to get, and some of them I do honestly believe they're overpriced. That's just me. That's neither here nor there. I'm a cheapskate. When you have something like the Steam Deck to where you have emulators, which are free, and you have Steam games that are like so affordable, they're crazy. Like I just got Skyrim for like $9. I'm getting like AAA games for like $2 sometimes. And then on top of that, I have Chiaki, so I can play all of my old games from PS4 and PS5 straight to my Steam Deck. It's kind of like, why not? After having it 2 years, a lot of the games are running so much better, especially after time. Like even the small amount of time that Hogsworth, the Harry Potter game, it runs so much better than what it did in the past. I mean, as far as, of course, you have to run your own settings. That's another good thing too, is after having it for 2 years, I'm very, very comfortable with changing like the frame rate, the in-game graphics to get the game not just looking good, but also like saving that battery. So all in all, after 2 years, my Steam Deck is holding up fairly fine. There's no problems at all, like just the small stuff that I mentioned, and they're not even like big things that actually bother me. I just wanted to like just keep it real about the stuff that has happened or is going on with my Steam Deck. So if you guys have had your Steam Deck for a while, let me know what's going on with yours. But right now, the Steam Deck is holding up just fine. So with that being said, hope you guys are staying safe, staying positive, staying woke. Happy New Year's and adios. Peace.